Teezo Touchdown, you are this month's Up Next artist on Apple Music. I just want to kind of preface this, and I'm excited that selfishly, I'm the one that gets to have this conversation with you because, you know, previous Up Next alumni have included artists like Billie Eilish and Bad Bunny, Her, Don Toliver, Ice Spice. I mean, the list goes on and on. But I'm looking at this as a bookmark in the Teezo Touchdown story, where we're going to be able to kind of look back on this in many years, you know, in your extravagant, extraordinary career and just reflect on what life is like right now. It's a snapshot into what Teezo and who Teezo is at this moment. And I'm excited that, you know, we get to do this together, man.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the reason why I love journalism, because all it is a snapshot of where we are, and I would be able to go back and look at it, and then everyone else, you know, they're going to be able to look back and see where both of us was at this one time. So
100%, man. And with that being said, I just want to start this off with a huge congratulations. You are Apple Music's very first Up Next artist for 2024, and congratulations on being this month's Up Next artist as well. I want to get to your song, We got to start this off with some music because obviously that's what all of us are here for. Talk to me about the visuals specifically for this one.
we did all of this in 2 days. We did all this in 2 days with Kelsey. I went to her art exhibit. Like, we were already planning on, you know, shooting everything when I went to her art exhibit, and she said, "Yo, we shot all of this in a day." I told my team, like, "Yo, that's just a great artist," and she obviously she works really quick, but it's really well worked. And we linked up with her. We did like 2 weeks of planning, and we shot everything in 2 days, album art included. So I want to give love to my manager, Amal Nora, for coming up with the idea of like previewing every song before the album dropped. I was very initially scared of that, but it worked so well. And I'm glad that I took that leap of faith.
And, you know, having to work so quickly, right, with 2 days to spare, is that something that you're used to?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, we thrive on it. I mean, we could talk about the Impossible video. We had like about five or so days less to come up with that and execute it. And, you know, we did that. So shout out to Nikki at the head of Creative RCA. We work really well under a tight schedule.
I mean, dude, it's truly incredible to just see, you know, everything that has happened to you last year, from multiple high-profile collaborations. You've been on insane tours, and you released your highly anticipated debut album. How are you feeling about it all? Are you still kind of processing 2023?
Absolutely. I'm very still much so present in the moment. You know, we announced my first headlining tour, the Spend the Night tour. So I'm excited to, you know, go on the road. I've spent, you know, the last 2 tours being a support act and just doing, you know, putting in my hours and my reps. And I'm just excited to put this album on the road and just connect it with people and see how they feel about it, you know, in person.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I feel like that's the reward, right, for locking yourself in rooms for hours and hours upon end, spending so much time in the studio. It's getting to take, you know, those songs and be on stage and in a room full of people experiencing that together. Coming
off of the Circus Maximus tour, the Common Figure Lost tour, just seeing how Travis and Tyler just connect with their fans and how they make, you know, the music that we make in these rooms, how it connects to these people, man, it never gets old. I think that's why, you know, Rolling Stone can tour for, you know, up until now.
Oh,
yeah, we can't stay off that road, man. It's addicting.
Is there anything significant you've taken away from being on those huge tours?
Yeah, the repetition, the respect to the back of the house, you know, the bus drivers, the lighting, everyone who puts, you know, everything together. You know, we just go on stage and, you know, perform our songs, but it's a lot of moving pieces that make sure that we give a great show every night. So I think it's that, how everyone communicates, how professional everything is. So yeah, I'm definitely took all of that. I'm very studious, taking all of that and just applying it, you know, not only to this tour that's coming up, but just my work career and everything.
Yeah. What would you say was the thing that surprised you the most about touring that maybe you didn't realize or even pay attention to before you started doing it yourself?
I think preparation. It doesn't start like the week before or a few hours before a tour. I think you have to start thinking about tour like maybe like a year or so in advance. So I think preparation is what a big thing that if you're watching this and you're getting ready to go on the road, start preparing now.
I want to get into a bit of your origin story really quick, Teezo. You're from Beaumont, Texas. Music was definitely...
Love hearing that. Yeah. I'm sorry, I just love hearing my city's name.
We got
Houston, Dallas,
up,
but
man.
Yeah, here in Beaumont, it never gets old.
You know, music was definitely part of your upbringing. I know that your father was a DJ. What do you remember the first memory from your childhood that moved you towards music? Was it a record? Was it a music video? Was it a specific artist?
Yeah, I mean, being from Beaumont, you know, that wave that was happening in Houston definitely, you know, hit Beaumont. And I always bring up the story of hearing Big Mo and hearing the breaths between his takes, like it just made me kind of know that I was a human there. I don't know what it was about that moment, but I remember holding up my red radio player and just holding it up and just hearing his breath. It's something about that moment, just the human aspect of that. And then also, you know, my favorite rapper is Lil Flip, man. I met him on the Circus Maximus tour, and I told him the reason that I think that he's my favorite rapper is because meeting him as a child and like having him like sign like a poster or take a picture or stuff like that, that's something that you always remember. That's why I make sure I stop and take pictures with everyone, because you never know what the little small thing that can make them, you know, your favorite artist.
What has been the reaction like from your family on all this success?
Unfathomable. I think even for me, my team has to remind me, and I have to remind myself that this is real. I'm actually doing this. Like right now, I'm looking at the desk, reading every single button just so I can stay present and know like, yo, this isn't a dream. You're not about to wake up anytime soon. This is real. So I think it's just unfathomable. I always say it's unbelievable, but it's not unachievable.
Well, I mean, that dream obviously started somewhere. And when you look back, you know, to the origin of it all, do you remember the first song that you made for yourself, the first time you heard your voice recorded? Like, walk me through that experience.
Absolutely. It was a Christmas, you know, it was Christmas. And every year I would get something for Christmas. I would either get, I think the first year I got a pair of turntables, and then I got like a piano. And then one year, my dad, it was a small box, and I opened it, and it was just a key. And it was a key to the studio that he built upstairs. And that night, yeah, I made my first song. I can still play it on piano. It's horrible, but, you know, you got to start somewhere.
If you're listening to this and you are new to the Teezo Touchdown world, I suggest you listen to 100 Drums, which samples Panic at the Disco's I Write Sins, Not Tragedies. One of my favorite songs of yours, Selfishly. I mean, I grew up in, you know, pop punk and emo and just that entire world. So to hear your interpolation of it, what made you want to use this sample? Take me back to that day in the studio.
I knew that I wanted to do something that was a little mashup. At first I was going to do, I think, Little Red Corvette by Prince. I was going to do like a little flip of that, but little flip. I was going to do a little flip of that. And then I was like, let me try something else. And, you know, growing up watching MTV and just hearing those songs before you go to school. So like hearing one of those songs, I was like, you know what, let me do that one. And I pulled it up in the studio. My boy Jet at the White House came in because he heard it, and he's like, yo, I don't know what you about to do with that. And then he just walked out. And I didn't know either, but I laid it down, and I text my friends like, yo, be camera ready on Friday. It was like 3 days before, you know, going back to creating the content for the album and the Impossible video. I was like, yo, be ready, camera ready on Friday. I didn't have an idea. I just know I wanted to film whatever, you know, I recorded. So we did that, recorded it that Friday, posted it up maybe like that Tuesday or something. And like a week later, this page on Instagram called BioLink Music posted it and got like 500,000 views on it. And that's how Chance the Rapper seen it. That's how Trippie Redd's best friend Hunter seen it, showed it to Trippie. And then like a week later after that, I'm in LA for the first time.
That's insane, man.
And I have to say, even now, right before I was preparing for the Circus Maximus tour, I went and watched the Panic at the Disco show. It's still on YouTube now. A show they did from 2006, and just the theatrics of that, and then just the vocal presence of the front man. It was just a great show. So even still, Panic at the Disco is still influencing me to this day. I
gotta say, one of my favorite songs on How Do You Sleep at Night is your song Impossible. And I know you've talked about the music video a little bit, you know, since we started our conversation. But I just want to give you your flowers, man, because that song to me is an immediate jolt of inspiration. And if there's anybody out there who's listening right now who wants to do anything in the creative space, this needs to be the blueprint. Because we hear artists talk about, you know, you can't fail if you don't give up. But the way that you are able to put this into words, you know, in 2 minutes and 47 seconds is just something that I really haven't heard before. Can we talk a little bit about this song for a second?
So Impossible was the last song that we recorded for the album, rightfully so. And that whole perspective of that song is all about projection. I feel like hurt people. So I wanted to just write it from the point of view of just wondering who was the first person to want to project. So it gives all of these different scenarios like, yo, maybe they were a painter and then, you know, someone told them they couldn't paint. Or maybe they were a boxer and they got knocked out. So that's the perspective that I wanted to give. And then even on the Circus Maximus tour, my brother Yachty, I was talking to him about just, he was like, yo, so how you feel? And I was like, I kind of feel sometimes like my team said I got to stop little bro on myself. And like I always say, that's why I stay so present and understand that you're actually doing this. Cause like sometimes what people say about you, you know, it can hurt. And he was like, yo, people are just projecting. And that's all that song is. It's all just pondering about who was the first projector, what made them want to tell the next person that they couldn't do something.
Late last year, you released your debut project, How Do You Sleep at Night? And I got to say, man, consistently, you know, I have artists on my show every single day, and I ask them, you know, what's an album that really changed your year? What's a highlight? Something that you've been, you know, listening to a lot lately. And dude, Teezo Touchdown is a name that comes up consistently day after day, time after time. The project is really great, man. And you've said that this was the first project where you were kind of extending your hand to say, my name is Teezo, you know, nice to meet you. And now that we've had some time to sit with the project, do you feel like it accomplished everything that you wanted it to?
Absolutely, because I always say discovery never gets old. This is going to be someone's first time seeing his face, hearing his voice. So now I have something that's concentrated that you can go and look and say like, all right, I heard the name a few times. I heard him on a few of my favorite albums. Let me go dive into his body of work and see what that sounds like. And that's what I feel like that project is going to do that for forever. When someone, you know, 10 years from now discovers me, they're going to want to see where it starts. Same way I did with Prince to go listen to like For You, 50 Cent, Get Rich or Die Trying. When you see a great artist, you want to see where that story starts because it's always so inspiring just to see, you know, what got them to where we know and love now.
For sure. And I noticed that you worked with a previous guest and friend of the show, Tyler Cole, on this project.
Oh my God, yes.
I love Tyler, man. And he produced a fan favorite from the album You Thought that features Janelle Monáe. I heard that this song was originally two ideas that you combined because you were having a little bit of writer's block in a session. Is that true?
Yeah, I just hit a wall with it, and I was like, yo, let's go into the next idea. And the subject matter was so similar that we just, you know, we just combined them together. I think that was our first time meeting too. I had just recorded, I was just wrapping up 5 o'clock with Oogie Man and Kimchi, and Tyler Cole came in. And the one thing I didn't want to do was just like, all right, I'm already on this type of vibe. You should come in on here. I wanted to, you know, scratch it, allow Tyler to, you know, have the floor and create without, you know, any limitations. And that's what we came with. I listen to the demos sometimes because on the first half, it had more of like a reggae bounce, and then we got more to like this staccato, like machine thing. So
it's charged.
I love working with Tyler Cole, man. We basically don't even have to talk in the studio. It's just communication through the music.
How many versions were there from what we hear now to how it began?
Just 2, because it was like a few days in between the in between that. I think we had like a week or so working together, so just 2. Beautiful. But I am definitely in my demo stage right now. Not, you know, me coming from a MC background, you know, I'm used to putting up the song, knocking it out, and that's the song. But now we're into, you know, making demos. How can we make this better? Sending it off to other people to collaborate. Really doing that.
One of the coolest things that I've seen is the amount of cosigns, man, from your peers, artists like Drake, Tyler the Creator, Travis Scott, I mean, even the legend, André 3000. You know, what was your reaction to seeing André mentioning you in his GQ article?
It was groundbreaking for me. You know, I always say I'm a fan first, and my love for journalism. I love how present he is, and I love that interview. I love what the conversation they were able to have and the information they were able to drop. And, you know, we talk about, you know, you say, you know, listen, How Do You Sleep at Night a lot. During the Circus Maximus tour, I didn't really have a lot of routines, but one thing I did have, once that album dropped, once I got off stage, I would bring my speaker in the bathroom and I would start New Blue Sun every night, and that's my calm down record. So, you know, from him to go from saying that the South got something to say all the way up until where he's now, I just send my love to you, André, and, you know, continue to be a pioneer, continue to be creative, and yeah, thank you so much for everything that you've done for artists and what you're going to continue to do. It was amazing, man.
And to add, you know, to the new album, New Blue Sun, I feel like it's a project that a lot of people can use to sample. I feel like it's going to inspire so many more people just beyond listening.
Oh yeah, I feel like we can't even comprehend the tip of the iceberg what that album is for just years to come. Like, we're going to see that album is going to turn and grow legs. Very genius of him.
Lil Yachty was one of the first artists to really give you, your flowers and some encouragement. What's your relationship like with Yachty?
I just talked to him recently. I love him. He understands me. We understand each other. We understand community. We pour into each other. I'm just a great guy who just understands. And like you said, he was the first person to look me in my eyes and say, yo, you're going to do this. You're going to be big. And he just lends himself like, yo, whatever you need, let me know. He understands community. He understands that, artists and stuff that we're doing is kind of few and far between. So it's good to build that community, not only for us, but for the next generation to come and see that how close we are and how supportive we are, not just of Yachty, but of everyone. That's why I make a point to show, it's not to show how much I support other artists and do it in the forefront. I want that to be a trend just as much as anything else.
What is something that you took away from the tour, maybe off stage? These human moments that you have. Is there a memory that kind of sticks out just about that entire experience?
How present Travis is, the stories that he tells about his come up, how much he cares. That's one thing I keep commending him on. Like, yo, this man really cares. And that goes back from Al Farrow into before, how much he cares about his art, how much he cares about the fan experience. It's really that. And then again with him just pouring into me, letting me know like, yo, you the one. Keep going. Like, you got it. So I think it's that. And then everyone who I've met, everyone who I look up to, what I met, I'm taking all of this pouring into me, and I'm learning how to do it, just so I can do it to the next person, everyone who I come in contact with.
So important, man. Yeah, first we learn, then we teach. I love that.
Absolutely.
From your many features, what's one that you hold dear to your heart?
Crying in My Car by Tyler Cole, just because of that story. I tell the story of when I was driving from Beaumont to Houston to go work at Chewy's, to work in the service industry, to support my dream of being an artist. I talk about me going, after a shift, going to the back of an Enterprise in Cypress, Texas, just to sleep back there. You know what I'm saying? To going to a parking lot and having a state trooper knock on the window and wake me up, and who could have brought me to jail that night for trespassing, but let me go that night.
Do you have a favorite line you've ever written?
You would have thought I was Nicolas Cage the way that I did not play.
It didn't take you 2 seconds to
I love that line just because I love a line that'll evoke emotion out of me or out of the audience. But I just remember chuckling in the studio saying that.
What would you say is your best live music experience as a fan?
I think the Rock the Mic tour, to see 50 Cent, to see Jay-Z, to see Busta Rhymes, Sean Paul, and that happened in Beaumont, Texas. I went to that show with my dad. So the Rock the Mic tour, that one right there, that I can still, remember that vividly. It was at the Ford Pavilion, which I've had the privilege of performing in, I want to say in 2017, opening up for Lil Baby and 2 Chainz.
I mean, you want to talk about a full circle moment. What was it like, back in 2017 when you stepped foot on that same stage, years later from when you went to a concert that I feel like it had to have changed your life, right? And your perspective on music and why you're even doing this in the first place.
I'm trying to see, it had to be, it's either 17 or 18, but I just remember that's when I started leaning into the DIY aesthetic, the plaid pants, and just really, really leaning into this whole Teezo Touchdown thing. Like, Moo had just dropped, and I had like this series called Cover Boy, which I still do now, but I was just like covering records. I feel like the 100 Drums thing came while I was working on like a new Cover Boy. I always say that when I'm working on that series, it's like a pivotal moment in my career. And I still do that now. Every time I get like a magazine cover, it's not a full project now, but I at least try to do one cover of a song. So during that time, I just remember being on the brink of something happening, right on the brink of that 100 Drums and what you see now.
Brother, congratulations, man. I really appreciate the time, Teezo. And yeah, man, looking forward to all the new music next year, and hopefully we can do this again.
Absolutely. Travis Mills, you are a hell of an MC. Thank you so much for your professionalism. You're sharp, you're great, and I can't wait to meet you, man.